Well, hello there. How are you on this fabulous Tuesday night? Hope you are well. I still kind of made it. Well, almost made it in the six-ish zone. So, hope you guys are doing well. How was your day today? I chatted with you earlier today. You can watch the last video where I chatted with you early this morning, and I shared with you um, that just some definitions of broken. Um, how do you define brokenness? Um, and signs of brokenness, signs of triggers, um, how to set the boundaries so that you can one day move out of the brokenness and to a better place is what I'm going to talk about the better place, but how to move out of, how to start the process of moving out of brokenness. But I'm going to talk about the better place tonight. And for those of you who are Christians, I know you would not mind. Those of you who are not, hope that you're not offended, but we are, I'm going to pray just quickly, and then we're going to get into tonight. Most gracious Heavenly Father, I thank you for life, health, and strength. I thank you for who you are. I give you praise. I give you honor. I give you glory for everything that I am, everything that you've done in my life and the lives of the people that are listening. I praise you. I honor you. I glorify you. I magnify you. There's none like you in all the earth. I thank you for a peace and a contentment in you and you alone. I honor you and I praise you for what you're about to share with the people. I pray that they get a revelation of brokenness. They understand and look and have the courage and the boldness that they need to examine their own personal boldness, own personal brokenness, and the relationship that they have with it and how it has affected them negatively and positively, but how to cross over from the brokenness, how and what are the breaking points, what's going to take them, how much, what's the level of brokenness that's going to take them into the decision-making process to cross over from it and to depart from it and to make amends and allow their soul to heal. So we thank you for each and every person. Let them be inspired. Let them be enlightened. Let them be recovered. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So, how are you today? About 2 weeks ago, it was very, very, very hot where I'm at. It seems like it was just like feeling like drought all throughout the summer, not just in the Midwest, but across everywhere. And it seemed like the heat would never end, right? It was just very, very hot. And I don't complain about the heat. Thank God for air conditioning if you have it. But then all of a sudden there was a switch, there was a shift in the weather. The weather patterns begin to change. And oftentimes, you hear me talking a little bit about the weather. Sometimes, you can reflect on the weather patterns and compare that with some of the seasons that you go through in your life, right? And so all of a sudden there was a shift in the weather, and it was so hot. It was so hot here. I thought it was going to be hot forever. Not that I mind, because where I'm at, in the summer we used to have a little hot summer, but all of a sudden there was a cooling. I don't know if it's global warming or climate change, one or the other. But for about, I'd say, almost 10 years, we didn't have a hot summer. So the whole summer it was like very hot. So it was so hot, I thought I was living in an all year round hot place. And so the shift caused the reality to change. And so that shift, it was like 60, borderline 50, and it got really cold. I needed cover. I needed socks, something I hadn't needed in months. I don't think since the end of April or May. And it was just very chill. It was like cold to the bone cold. And I hadn't experienced that type of coldness in quite a while. And then the reality came when that shift came. Like, I am in the Midwest state that I know I'm in, and fall is coming, summer is ending, and not soon after before fall is over, winter is going to be approaching, right? Because sometimes in the Midwest states you have we experience this 4 seasons in 1 month, in one season. So like in fall is case in point where you can experience a little bit of the summer dissipating, and then you experience the nice fall weather. But then in that fall weather, you feel briskness of the winter. It could be get as low as 30 or 20 in the fall, and then you can have some rain, which will remind you of the spring. And sometimes in the seasons in your life when that shift come, if you're not ready for that reality, sometimes you ignore, you overlook it. But there's signs of it that you know that the reality is there. You know when you've been broken, when you've been hurt, and you haven't made time to heal those wounds and make amends to those wounds. Um, then you you suffer a little bit, and you overlook it by medicating the pain in many ways. You overlook it by remaining busy. You overlook it by making excuses. Sometimes they're not really excuses. You just don't know how to be guided or counseled on how to come out of the brokenness, right? But sometimes there's a breaking point. I know someone who was a therapist who had shared that they were to experience a lot of loss and grief, and relatives and loved ones dying, but they were trying to be strong for everyone else, right? And in the process, they reached a pivot, and that pivot wasn't nice. They really didn't have a breakdown, but everything just came to a standstill. They just felt frozen. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. They were just, they couldn't function. They took time off work. But these are some things that they maybe probably should have done. But, you know, we sometimes are denial and denial. Now, in the natural weather, when the shift comes from summer to fall to winter, you can't deny it. It's briskly cold. The air change when you talking to your breath, you can see your breath. Um, your hair is not getting muggy and sweaty. Your feet are cold and you need some socks. There's some things where, it's just going to get to you and get on your nerves to the point where you say, okay, the reality, I can't stay in this. If you were in denial about the season changing now, you're like, okay, you can get a cold if you don't handle it right. And even so, with your seasons in life, if you don't prepare, it can cause physical sickness. It can cause delay. A lot of times, even as individuals, we are such caregivers. We can care for everybody else, make sure they're going to the doctor, make sure they're keeping up with their health, make sure this, that, and the other. And then we get into a situation where we're forced to care for ourselves. Instead of just, because when you're forced to care, you can't worry about who you're caring for. You're going to have to leave them to someone else anyway, right? So, and we don't do it when we see the signs because we feel guilty, we feel remorseful. We have this false burden, we have this man-pleasing spirit that we're trying to be who we're not. We could only be graced to do what God has called us to do. Anything above and beyond that, we have to turn it over to the Lord and have Him legislate. And so, in saying that, there may be things that you went through in life and you reached a breaking point, but you still pressed on, right? But what's going to be the pivot for you to become healed and whole? I talk about the book that I have called Unbreakable and Still Standing. And that book came from brokenness, um, experiencing brokenness, but not only experiencing the brokenness, but coming to a decision that the pain was enough. I needed to be healed. I have to do something to be healed. I have to be intentional about that. And then once I'm healed, then I go through a healing process and a process so that the things that affected me and tried to break me and broke me into certain areas that I'm healed from, those fragments can't disfragment me no more and don't get to me no more like they used to. Because I'm at a place where I'm healed. I'm at a place where my endurance and my grace has been increased. And when that's increased, um, the things that used to affect me don't affect you. You know how you went through something years ago and you said, if I went through that same thing, it would not bother me. But back then, if you tried to go through it, it would probably have taken you out, right? If you had to go through it again, if you had to be challenged with it again. But you've developed a healing, you've developed experience, you develop a tenacity, and to where it can't break you down no more, right? You know, I even noticed that about myself. Some things that I've experienced, um, my later years that I experienced before, but it would just cause me to break down, right? But now that I've been through the experience of identifying what's broken, what the triggers are, how to set boundaries, what healing is required, what's required to devein the brokenness and dismantle the brokenness and cause healing to take place. You know, it all starts with a decision, setting your mind and keeping it set. Because at the end of the day, in the natural, you only have one life to live, right? And if you're trying to fulfill your purpose, you have to do it from a heal, whole, and healthy place. Um, because even if you're not trying to be toxin by default, toxins are going to breed out and people are going to smell it. They're going to see it. Um, and it's going to affect the strength of your relationship with them. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect how you show up. So we don't just want to show up our best self, but we want to show up the divine, purpose-driven, preordained, predestined, foreknew person that we were designed to be before creation began. And in order to do that, we have to say, okay, this is enough. I'm not going to let this break me. And a lot of times the Bible says, do not judge a matter before it's time. When I was younger and in my uh, more mature years, I've tried to get out of that, judging other people based on outward appearance or circumstances. But we don't know everybody's circumstances. And so we don't know the back side of their circumstance, who they were from childhood to present, right? And so a lot of times we judge people, but we don't really know their true story. And when we know their true story, we realize if we would have went through what they went through, we wouldn't come out as um, uh, straight, as we think. And so with that said, I would look at people growing up inner city. I would see homeless people talking to themselves, and there would be some interesting conversations. At first, as a kid, I was like, oh, that's just a crazy person that just talked to himself. But then some of the conversations as I got older, I'm like, oh, they're talking about fragments of their life, some experiences that they had and went through. Maybe those experiences, didn't come out so right. They got broken. They didn't pivot. They didn't make a decision to say, okay, this is enough. I've been through enough. I'm going to have to sell, my spouse, my children. I'm going to have to take a break, or whoever it is. I'm going to have to get out of this situation, this abusive situation. When you're a child, you can't do anything except pray and seek God until you're able, until the Lord gives you an open door. But as an adult, sometimes we don't count the cost and we think, oh, I'm going to lose this and lose that. Well, when you lose your mind, That's part of your soul, your mind, will, and emotion, right? And it begins to fragment and disintegrate if you don't pivot and recognize the breaking point, because a lot of people are not as strong emotionally, mentally as they think if they don't handle and do self-care, especially mental health care. And so, those people, you never know where they came from. There was a guy, and he said he used to be a pastor. He was a prophet, and he was sitting on the train station step, and he was just talking to me, and he never did tell me exactly how he got there, but I could tell he's an intelligent person. He said, "Can I pray for you?" And I let him pray for me. Um, and he began to, say, you're going to have a great future. God's going to do some great things in your life and show you. I mean, it was just from a place of not no skid row mentality, right? And then there was a lady when I was in college. I went to the it was a clinic, and she was passing out leaves, and then she was talking to herself, and then she was like, "I want to talk to the chief of staff," and all these directors, people were talking to her, and she was talking in bits and pieces. I'm like, well, maybe those fragments of her life. And then they were talking, and they were like, "Wow, she's an intelligent person. I don't know what went wrong." From this talk of it, either in college or in um, corporate America, she had some type of breaking point, and she hadn't recovered. And so what I'm saying is, for the grace of God and for the grace and wisdom of getting self-care, getting your pivot, you may not want to talk to a therapist, but you can read a book, you can write your feelings down, you can, settle the matter there. You can settle a matter without even confronting somebody who hurt you, violated you, just by writing about it as if they're there. Some of them probably dead. Um, addressing it in that way, taking, all your feelings, put it on the table in writing, and then processing it, but coming to terms with it so it doesn't disintegrate the development and the strength of your personality, your well-being, you know. And that's why I think mental health is so important. Seeking the right therapist, seeking the right counsel, writing your feelings, because there's some people who are just so prideful, and then they have stigmas they've heard about seeking counsel. They don't worry about what people think, or if I think get a therapist, they're gonna think I'm nuts. All through life, all I saw is these people in straitjackets just banging their head up against the wall, and they're gonna think something wrong with me. Well, guess what? Who cares? Because I'd rather them think that. Apparently they don't care too much about you anyway, or their mind thinking is kind of low. But I'd rather risk what they think about me and get the help, as opposed to not getting the help and one day, boom, becoming that man at the uh, train station on the bus stop with a bag of clothes, or becoming that woman, you know, talking to herself, talking in fragments and handing out leaves at the clinic. Um, so, brokenness. It's the dismembering, the dismantling. And so what I'm doing is I'm compiling every definition that I know as far as professional, whether it's Webster or otherwise. It's the dismantling and the dismembering of what was strong, what was solid, and separating those things to where they're not recognized as the form that they used to be, right? When Jesus Christ was on the cross, they didn't just crucify him, stick nails in his feet and his hand and his side. They beat him almost to a pulp to where he was not recognizable, right? And that's natural. But emotional, mentally, you've been beaten. But it's time to be healed. And sometimes you can be beaten to the point people don't recognize you. Um, they may recognize your face, but your personality and your character. So my prayer for you today is that you become healed, and that you get set free. Um, Normally on my channel, I talk about writing. I am a best-selling author. I also have helped individuals publish their own books. And a way of therapy is writing. Like I said, there's some people who have issues about therapists. I'd say get a therapist if you have the courage to do it. Pray on the right one. Get wisdom instruction. If you don't pray, if you're not a Christian, get instruction and wisdom on how to seek out the right one. Do research, do counsel. You can test it out maybe once, or get reviews or personal um, customer reviews. But if you're still on the fence about that, I say when nobody's around, when everybody's asleep, get you a journal, lock and key. You start writing your feelings like you're addressing the person. You are so and so. I didn't like what you did to this. It made me feel blah 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 blah. And I've developed this as a result. You know, um, I forgive you, even if you're not ready, but in your desire, you desire to write it down, and daily. Allow the forgiveness to be a process. But it comes with there's a decision. But sometimes there's dismantling of the hurt and pain, so that when you see that person, think of them. It doesn't rev you up and then bind you up with bitterness and resentment. So, as I said, I'm an author, and I just want people to be healed and in the place that they need to be. So, I have, in honor of my birthday, my book, Unbreakable and Still Standing, Volume 1, is on sale for $15. I have signed copies available to ship. You can reach out to me with that if you want to. Let me see if I can put in the chat. That's where you can go to get it. You can also go to Amazon.com. But my birthday's tomorrow, so I have it on sale for the rest of September. Half off. The regular price is $30. So Unbreakable and Still Standing. So in this book, it talks about someone on a journey from brokenness, how the brokenness affect them, what they realized was their pivot or their break, and how they persevered. Have some affirmations and some confessions in there. I don't want to give it all away, but we're going to wrap up. I hope to see you tomorrow. If you want to like, and if this has been a great impact for you, please like it and share it. And to sign up for the challenge, make a comment and say I sign up for the challenge. So the challenge starts today. It's going to go until Saturday. So I'll be here with you, talking to you about the process from brokenness to heal. And in that process. So we'll see you tomorrow. So I come on in the morning and in the evening. I was trying to do 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. That's not always working, but around that time, 6-ish, a little bit after. But you can always watch on replay. I'm going to try to work on setting up a process where you can get notification if you subscribe. So please subscribe, like, and share. That way you can get the notifications. Okay. Take care. Talk to you soon. God bless. Father God, I pray for each person, wherever they are on their journey in life, whatever season they are, whatever crossroad they are. Heal their brokenness. Speak to them about their brokenness. Maybe you spoke to them already and they come across this video and they want to get the courage to make the decision to reach that pivot point, to bring healing to that brokenness. Show them, teach them. So we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.